This is how you know the difference between a New York 10, a Miami 10, and a Los Angeles 10. Hey ladies, welcome back to my channel. It's your host, London Lamborghini. And if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about a Miami 10, a New York 10, and an LA 10. Where do the hottest people live? Miami's sun-kissed charm, New York's edgy allure, and LA's Hollywood glam. Each city has its own 10, but what really defines a 10 in each place? Let's break down the differences and see which city has the hottest scene. This is how you know the difference between a New York 10, a Miami 10, and a Los Angeles 10. Okay, so it's honestly quite easy to tell the difference between the three. New York 10 is typically tall, model-like features, more on the natural side. I'll show you a picture. I would say someone like this is like typically a New York 10. But a better way of thinking of it is like, think of Kendall Jenner. She's definitely a New York 10. But if you took Kendall Jenner and put her in Miami, she would be a 2. But hear me out. But Kylie would be a 10 in Miami. Do you feel like, I don't know if this is like making sense or if I'm just rambling, but there's a really big difference. Miami, oh my god, bro, home of the BBLs, like it's very much like IG baddie style. Like, let me show you what a Miami 10 looks like now. So I already said Kylie, but this is like another like picture just to show you like reference. I would say like this and then like this for sure. Like these girls, bad as fuck, definitely a Miami 10. But if you were to put them in New York and compare it to the New York standards of like attractiveness, they wouldn't be as high up. So I would say like a Miami 10 is like a 6 in New York. And that's just how I see it. But we can go over to the LA, and I feel like LA, this is more like influencer, you know, very trendy. And so I feel like the people who would be considered like LA 10s, a good one, for example, Madison Beer, just very clean, you know, like obviously well dressed, put together looking, cute aesthetic. And the conversion rate for LA can be a little tricky because it honestly depends. Like an LA 10 can be a 6 in New York. But then I feel like an LA 10 would be like a 4 in Miami in comparison to the types of bitches that are in Miami. But to be honest, it depends on the individual. Like, oh my gosh, I could talk about a Virginia 10. Like, I live in Virginia. A Virginia 10 is honestly like anything. Like, these niggas will... I have seen some questionable creatures be called bad as fuck. And I'm just like, So there really is hope for all of it. Let me not be disrespectful, but I hope this made sense. I feel like I was kind of rambling at some point, but like, to reiterate, New York 10, clean, model looks, very natural looking aesthetic. Miami, like BBL, very IG baddie, Insta baddie. So think Kendall, Kylie, and then Madison Beer for LA. Yeah, I really kind of ate that up though. I kind of ate that up, but yeah.
Logically, I know that I'm not a Miami 10 or an LA 10 or a New York 10 or like wherever. Like, I am a Minnesota 7 at best. I am not here fishing for compliments, okay? Like, logically, I know these things. As a Leo, and if you're a Leo, you'll get it. There's something inside of you that's like, I still am a 10. Does that make sense? Like, logically, you know, but then there's like this other side of your brain that's like super delusional and you're convinced you're like the hottest person that ever lived. I don't know how to explain that, but like, you couldn't convince me that I wasn't a 10, even though I logically know that I'm not. But like, I am. Do you know what I mean?
So I feel like I've been seeing a lot about the Miami 10, and I want to just like clear up some misconceptions about that. So a Miami 10 is obviously going to be very different from a New York 10 or an LA 10 or all those 10s, because I can say as an Indian woman and also a brown woman and a person of color that I feel so loved in Miami. Like, I feel like being a brown woman or like having ethnic features really makes you stand out in Miami. Like, I feel like you get an additional 2 points just for being ethnic. I'm not even kidding. And personally, even for me, like, I wouldn't say that like I am anywhere near a 10 in New York or even LA or even in Miami, but I have had Prada bags paid for. I've had my rent paid for, my car payments paid for before I met my boyfriend, by the way. And that's just what happens in Miami. Like, there's a lot of men who come here. They tend to be older, rich, single. They just want to, like, honestly, like, blow their money on a hot young girl. And they tend to go for more ethnic girls. So this is why I feel like this conversation, I haven't seen the angle of people like talking about race, because race does play a huge factor into like whether you're going to get into certain clubs or certain bars in Miami. Like, I feel like, I'm going to be honest, like, a lot of my friends are white girls with blonde hair and blue eyes. And I would say that like I probably get invited to more cooler stuff like rappers, listening parties, like all that stuff. And I don't know if that's the same way in other cities. Like, I did live in New York before, and I would say I definitely did not feel cute when I lived there. I feel like I didn't have that aesthetic. But in Miami, like, I feel like I fit the aesthetic, and I like wearing clothes that show my top and my ass. I feel like that's my vibe. In New York, I feel like I could not have done that. But I don't know. That's just like my opinions on the Miami 10. But let me know your thoughts.
Hi. I recently watched this girl's TikTok about a New York 10 versus a LA 10 versus a Miami 10. And it was really good and interesting, but I think she missed out on a few things specifically about New York that I want to tap into. So let's start with a New York 10. New York is very diverse. Everyone knows this. So when it comes to people and how they dress, specifically in this video, I'm going to be talking about women. When it comes to women and how they dress in New York, you can be very experimental. You can dress all different kinds of ways and still be considered attractive. A New York 10 can look like Aaliyah Core, or it can look like an Aaliyah J. You know what I'm saying? Depending on where you go. I think everyone here just really has their own style and they lean into it and it's accepted. There is not really a cookie cutter like, oh, you gotta look like this and then like you'll be approached. I think you can go looking very natural and you can still be approached by men, or you can still get into like good lounges or bars or whatever. Don't get me wrong, there's still colorist clubs and superficial men, but the beauty standard here is more broad, which is different from other cities in the US. With that, let's go to LA, baby, LA. Okay, big contrast. Also, don't mind my nails. I'm getting them done this week. Okay, the beauty standard in LA is so strict. Like, it's very much middle part, jet black, 30-inch bust down, like, very much that. It gives IG baddie, Kylie Jenner, like, what you would expect LA women to look like, that's what they give. I feel like the attractiveness standard there is so tunneled, it's hard to look anything different than that and stand out and be approached or anything like that. Or even, depending on what club you go to, be let into the club, which is crazy. Ooh. And I love LA, don't get me wrong, I spent a lot of core years there. But I feel like growing up in high school, going to the clubs, which I probably shouldn't have been going to in the first place, but whatever. I feel like that's just a tough place to grow up as a young woman, seeing that unattainable beauty standard of the BBL, it's just tough. Now Miami, okay. I've only been to Miami a handful of times, but I think I get the vibe. But if you're from Miami, let me know. I'm happy to be wrong. So Miami, I feel like, is very much like LA. It's very much BBL Brigade down, very Drake music video. I don't really know how else to describe it, but that's okay. We love Miami. It's good. End of the day, 3 biggest cities. Beauty here is beauty anywhere. The idea of Miami, New York, and LA 10s have been like dominating my For You page. And I think it's so interesting because I've been to all three places and I actually do think the descriptions are pretty fucking accurate. I live in Tampa now and I figured, what is the Tampa 10? Class is in session, let me tell you. So someone said that a New York 10 is like Kendall Jenner and a Miami 10 is like Kylie Jenner. In my personal opinion, I think that a Tampa 10 is like a mix of Kendall and Kylie. So the girl said New York 10 is like tall, skinny, like very aesthetic, very clean, very natural. And a Miami 10 is very like huge boobs, huge butt, BBL central, like very bold glamour, like neon clothes. In my opinion, a Tampa 10 is if you took these two and like swept them together. And also this whole topic of 10s has really got me thinking, like each state is, the idea of what a 10 is so different. And like back when I first moved to Tampa, like 7 years ago, I would consider myself, I would have been like an high 8.5 to a 9. Now the women in Tampa, fucking hell, I'm lucky if I'm like a 7. However, I'm funny and I have a personality and I'm fucking awesome. So that makes me like a 9, you know what I mean? However, if you want to feel good about yourself, remember that like these big cities are so concentrated with beautiful women. I had to take someone to the ER last week. I might not be a 10 anywhere else, but I'm a fucking emergency room 10 if I do say so myself. But also remember, who gives a fuck about how you look? You are someone's type, regardless. This is just like a fun little topic to talk about, you know? It's not supposed to make anyone feel bad. You are a 10 to somebody. Just, you know, have a good fucking personality and be a decent human being.
So you guys have heard of the Miami 10 thing, right? How like if you think you're hot in your city, but you come to Miami, you might be humbled if you're not like really pretty or something like that. And by really pretty, you guys already know we're talking about the beauty standard, right? So I personally, I don't really give a fuck about that shit. I mean, like, I pay for my own drinks. I don't care. But listen, I have very hot people around me all the time. And that's why I don't even have to try. I just show up with my friends or my cousins who are Miami 10s. We got free shots. Nobody has to flirt with anybody. Nobody has to do anything. The girls, they just walk in, shots given to them. You have to pay a cover? Nope. Here's a discount, or you go in for free. So honestly, the hack is just go out with the Miami 10s.
People are not lying when they say there's literally rich and then there's literally fuck you rich. Me and my friends are in Miami and we meet one rich guy, which is a whole nother story. And then I meet this other rich guy. He was on his way to the gym. He goes to fucking Equinox and literally he sees me and the first thing he says to me and he's like, "You're way too pretty to not have a Louis Vuitton bag on your shoulder." I didn't know what to say, so I kind of just like laughed it off. And then we started talking and he basically said that he's like from Miami. He owns this big company. So I ended up talking to him for a little bit and he was very, very nice, very humble, very genuine. So me and my friends were going to the mall anyway because we had to go find a pair of heels and a new dress for the club that night because in Miami they do not let you in the club if you are not wearing heels. So he's like, "Oh, I live up there anyway," and offers to take us to the mall. And this man literally just casually pulls up in a Bentley. And then he drops us off and we were like, "Thank you so much. It was so nice meeting you." And then he invited me and my friend on his yacht, which we were trying to debate if we should go or not. And then I got his contact info in case we like wanted to go, and we parted ways. And me and my friend like found our dresses, found our heels. Literally as we were walking out the mall, this man comes up like from the side of the mall. I don't know if he was like waiting there, which is a little I don't know, or maybe he was just like waiting, like I don't know, maybe he had it all planned out, as long as he wasn't stalking. But this man, so he comes up behind me and hands me this Louis Vuitton bag. And he's like, "Here you go, have fun." So I open it and it is in fact a fucking Louis Vuitton bag, y'all. Don't fucking play with it. Now I know I'm pretty, but like Miami just has a completely different pretty standard to where like if you're a 10 in your town, you're probably a hard 5 in Miami. The girls down there are literally the baddest and bougiest I've literally ever seen. Just the fact that me and my friend were getting all these opportunities thrown at us left and right was just insane. Also, after being in Miami, like, my standards are not even kidding 10 times higher. I was telling the one guy how I get Olive Garden all the time, and he was like, what? He was like, you eat Olive Garden? He was like, if I offered to take a girl to Olive Garden, she would turn around and walk away. I was like, what? They do things so different around here, guys.
Alright, that's the breakdown. So do you think Miami's spicy vibes, New York's confident edge, or LA's laid-back glam takes the crown? Let me know in the comments which city you think has the true 10s. And hey, if you're from one of these cities, let me know how we did. Did we get it right? Or is there more to the story? Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on more fun videos just like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.